Good evening, and bloody welcome to Summer Night Murder Mystery Sinking Island, even though it's winter. So, let's continue where we left off, which is in the heliport lounges. And we found some interesting stuff in the previous episode. Jack Norm, using the photo of Walter Jones' face and Hubert and Nolan's testimonies, persuaded that Jones' death was not accidental but very much criminal. Thanks to several traces and material elements left around the death of Walter Jones, he was able to determine those present on the Turtles Belvedere on the evening of the crime: Baina, Lorenzo, and Hubert and Nolan. That night, Baina and Walter Jones fought, and Baina is in all likelihood responsible for Jones' fall onto the rocky beach. The scratches, the fingernail, and the tumultuous footprints around the Belvedere confirmed to Norm this hypothesis. The arrival of the coroner's report turns everything upside down. Walter Jones was killed by a gunshot, thus Baina seems to be innocent. Nolan did not go to the Belvedere just to help his boss. He took advantage of the situation to steal the key to Walter Jones' safe, the key being kept on a chain around his neck. Norm found this key covered with Nolan's fingerprints in the suite's safe. Nolan used it to open Walter Jones' safe and to collect his testimonial arrangements. Sonia and Billy caught him in the act, and as proven by the objects found in her bag, she took everything. The safe contained all of the things needed for the future marriage between Walter Jones and Baina. A marriage which, if it had taken place, would have disinherited all of Jones' grandchildren for Baina's profit. By comparing the compatible calibers with the bullet that killed Jones and discovering the powder traces which show the rifle's recent use, Norm was able to establish that the crime weapon was a blazer carbine with telescope belonging to Walter Jones' very own collection. The shot was fired from the library window, as proven by the shards of wood found on the windowsill, which came from the crime weapon. This coincides perfectly with the autopsy report, which establishes that the shot was fired from a great distance. The number of suspects who are sufficiently good at shooting to be able to shoot Jones is quite large. Norm has discovered that all of the grandchildren as well as Nolan had gone on safaris with the old Jones. In addition, Marco distinguished himself in the army and Lorenzo in biathlon races. Lorenzo and the tower's keycard management software allowed to discover the identity of the last people to enter the library: Hubert Nolan and a certain Simbi Laktar. So let's continue with our investigation, which have taken a turn of events since we found some interesting documents in this very suitcase right here, or maybe it was that one right there. I think it was that one. Well, anyway, it was some very interesting documents. So let's talk to Christina about them.
Your questions are splendid. Continue, I love this.
Was she being sarcastic? Walter Jones' Marco relation file.
This sordid letter from Isabella to her son Marco gives him a solid motive to kill Walter Jones.
It's the worst story I've ever heard, Jack. Marco never told me anything. Maybe he wanted to protect me. In any case, Jones got the punishment he deserved. But I know my Marco well. You mustn't charge him. You are mistaking your prey, Jack.
But is that really reason enough to kill Walter Jones for? Because Marco found out that Walter Jones isn't his grandfather. Walter Jones was his real father. So, would you really kill your own father? I don't think so. But who knows? He didn't really have a good relationship to Walter Jones, and in his letter, it was his fake father that wrote in a letter that he loathed Walter Jones. Yeah, but I don't think that Marco cared much for Walter Jones. Let's continue and talk to Christina about printout of consultation for the library lock from 9 to 11:59 p.m.
Simbi Laktar. Does this name mean anything to you? I'd like to know if you saw him these last few days.
No, but I possibly don't know all the inhabitants of the island.
Yeah, that's true. Movements of Simbi Laktar's keycard during the night of the murder.
Don't you find it a bit strange that the housekeeper, Simbi Laktar, could have been closed up in the technical room for 3 days without anyone noticing?
It's true, Inspector Jack. It's very disturbing indeed.
Did she just smile when she said that? I'm not sure, but I think she was smiling. Well, let's talk to her about this subject right here. Was Hubert and Nolan's death really a suicide, and how would she know that if she isn't the murderer? Well, anyway, let's bring this subject up.
Did Hubert de Noland have a suicidal temperament?
I don't know, Jack. I didn't know him very well.
Sure, I see.
Okay, so now I got some new declarations and also some new stuff to talk about. So let's talk to Clara. Is that her name?
I would like to ask you 2 or 3 questions.
I think her name is Clara. I'm not totally sure. Let's talk to her about Walter Jones Marco relation file.
What can you tell me about your father and the conditions under which he died? And also, I'd love to know more about the relationship he had with your grandfather.
My grandfather took pleasure in outdoing his near and dear ones. He humiliated all of us, my father and my mother, Billy, Marco. What a monster. I hate Walter Jones and his perfect estate, which he dangled in front of us to show us we were at his mercy. You know what, Inspector? I am thoroughly convinced that my grandfather killed my father. Walter Jones killed his own son. He killed my father.
Okay, but then again, why would Walter Jones kill his own son? There is something weird about this whole family relation thing that they got going on. It is a very what's the word for it? A dysfunctional family. So yeah, I shouldn't go after my own morale when it comes to this murder investigation, because apparently the people in this game doesn't have anything good to say about their parents. Well, that's not all true, because Clara, or whatever her name is that we are talking to right now, seemed to have liked her father, but not her grandfather, because of very apparent reasons. If it is true that Walter Jones killed his own son, yeah, maybe it's true. I shouldn't think too much about that, I think. So let's continue talking about Walter Jones Marco relation file.
This sordid letter from Isabella to her son Marco gives him a solid motive to kill Walter Jones.
I can't believe it. It's totally monstrous. Walter Jones is no longer my grandfather. I can't believe he did something so... Mom was a discreet and secretive woman. She died from shame and loneliness. But why didn't I get any of this? But Marco is a weak sort, you know. I don't believe he could have had the guts to punish a man like Walter Jones. Unfortunately.
Okay. So she really didn't like that information, which is understandable. Let's talk to her about Walter Jones Marco relation file again.
In the absence of a will, this letter from Edward Jones to his wife Isabella makes Marco the principal heir of the Jones empire.
I didn't think of this detail, Inspector. So Marco's affection toward me could have been just strategy. He made me fall asleep in a way to swipe all the inheritance. If Marco played this double game with me, I will not forgive him, Mr. Norm.
The plot thickens. Okay, so let's talk to her about the same subject once more.
Why did Walter Jones keep this compromising press cutting?
I am ready for anything now. While going over this shit, you got out all the skeletons from the family closet, Mr. Norm. I distrusted you at the time you set foot on this island, but today, I'm grateful to you. And I really hope that you can prove that Walter Jones had my father murdered.
Well, that's not really up to Jack Norm to solve that particular case. But yeah, maybe we are able to solve all the... What the hell happened now?
Something in my mouth.
Okay, so he's hungry.
This crisis menu is like rationing.
In the middle of
the
conversation. Isn't that a little bit rude to just in the middle of a conversation go and eat something just because you're hungry? That would be really weird if you did that in real life. Just walk away and eat a sandwich because you feel hungry. Okay, it is a little shame that the conversation ended. Okay, but I think that I should be able to continue with the conversation. I hope I will, at least. Yeah, they are still standing up. They are eating as well. Okay. Okay.
Here's to being back home and my cooking some nice dinners for us.
Even if you were the worst cook in the world, I'd be happy to return home.
Okay. Are they the same people that I talked to before? No, they... Well...
I have a brother in Saleh. He will welcome us to his house if we have to leave here.
Everything will be better the moment I leave this tower.
I was born here, so nothing can be the same.
So they are eating as well. Suddenly, everyone became really hungry for some reason. Let's go to Christina and okay, apparently Coolio had the same idea. So Christina stands and looks suspicious. Now she sits down and looks suspicious. Okay then, well, I don't think that I have anything else to talk to Christina about, so let's head back here and talk to Martin, because he is the closest person here. But I really want to continue the conversation with the woman that I talked to before Jack Norm was hungry. I think it was Clara, but she sat right here. Now Coolio is the closest person, so well, not anymore though. Now Martin is the closest person, so yeah, let's just talk to Martin.
The interview can start, Inspector.
And let's talk to him about Walter Jones-Marco relation file.
This sordid letter from Isabella to her son Marco gives him a solid motive to kill Walter Jones.
I thought we had gone as low as we could, but these recent revelations, it's quite simply revolting, Inspector. What a shame that Sonia and Billy gave up on having this monster put away. That said, I doubt my brother-in-law Marco is capable of taking revenge by killing his own father.
Allow me to doubt that.
Well, I'm not sure that Marco is the killer, because, well, you might say that he have a motive, since he treated his mom really bad, as it seemed. But is that motive enough to kill a human being? Well, they aren't technically human beings. They are polygons, but you know what I mean. Let's talk to Coolio, which are eating a sandwich. Okay.
Here's the man who is always seeking the truth. So speak, Jack Norm.
Let's talk to him about Walter Jones-Marco relation file.
This sordid letter from Isabella to her son Marco gives him a solid motive to kill Walter Jones.
Old Jones was the most evil man I ever knew in my life, Jack Norm. He hurt a lot of people around him. He was full of poison, and he is dead from his poison. Baina also suffered a lot because of him. And if Marco killed old Jones, then that is a good thing, and I say he was right.
Okay. Let's talk to him about printout of consultation for the library lock from 9 to 11:59 p.m.
Simbi Laktar. Does this name mean anything to you? I'd like to know if you saw him these last few days.
Simbi Laktar is a good fisherman and a brave man, Jack Norm. Simbi Laktar worked for old Jones. I have not seen Simbi Laktar since old Jones fired all the Maldivians.
Okay. Let's talk to him about movements of Simbi Laktar's keycard during the night of the murder.
Don't you find it a bit strange that the housekeeper, Simbi Laktar, could have been closed up in the technical room for 3 days without anyone noticing?
Simbi Laktar cannot hide in old Jones's tower. A bad man hides. Simbi Laktar is a good man, Jack Norm.
Oh yeah, so I don't think that Simbi Laktar is the murderer. It just doesn't make sense that a former employee would kill his former boss and then hide in the tower. But who knows? I shouldn't speculate too much about that, perhaps. Let's take this piece of the puzzle here. Was Hubert de Nolan's death really a suicide?
Did Hubert de Noland have a suicidal temperament?
Hubert de Noland was not a man who had that in his head, Jack Norm.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's walk to the left and see if we can find Clara. Is this Clara?
Mr. Inspector, charged with the investigation? I'm all ears.
I don't think so. No, she is not Clara. Walter Jones' Marco relation file. Let's talk to her about that.
This sordid letter from Isabella to her son Marco gives him a solid motive to kill Walter Jones.
I'm not really surprised to know of this horror. I understand better why Marco was the only one who interested the old man Jones. His son, born from the rape of his own daughter-in-law. What a monster. But in my view, Marco is a weakling, Inspector. I don't think he has the guts to avenge his mother. In fact, I'm trying to say that from my point of view, he doesn't exactly come across as one out to uphold the law, Inspector.
Okay. Printout of consultation for the library log from 9 to 11:59 p.m.
Simbi Laktar. Does this name mean anything to you? I'd like to know if you saw him these last few days.
I don't know who that is, Inspector.
And why would she? Movements of Simbi Laktar's keycard during the night of the murder.
Don't you find it a bit strange that the housekeeper, Simbi Laktar, could have been closed up in the technical room for 3 days without anyone noticing?
Well, maybe it's a ghost. Huh? That's all that's missing here. What can one say, Inspector?
A ghost, huh? Yeah, well, that is also a possibility, but I don't think that is who the murderer is. So, was Hubert de Noland's death really a suicide?
Did Hubert de Noland have a suicidal temperament?
I didn't know him well enough. People are sometimes bizarre. In the end, it's true. You never know.
Okay.
Yeah, you never know. I guess that's true. Let's talk to... What is his name? Is that Billy? Yeah, that's Billy, isn't it? And I just talked to Sonia. Okay, so let's talk to Billy.
What else can I do you for, Inspector?
Oh, we got a few things to talk to him about. Let's start with Nolan's ripped suicide letter.
Noland had hastily written up evasive confessions on a piece of paper. Do you think that one has to look for an explanation of his suicide in them?
I'm starting to get really tired, man, and I'm in no condition to help you. But I think it's a little too obvious, no?
Yeah, it is. It is too obvious. And yeah, I think that Hubert Noland was killed because why would he shoot himself? Well, let's go on and talk to Billy about Walter Jones' Marco relation file.
What can you tell me about your father and the conditions under which he died? And also, I'd love to know more about the relationship he had with your grandfather.
Sonia, Marco, and I, all three of us, think that it's our grandfather who killed our father. He really made my father suffer to death. My father was a good guy, but after Mom's death, he carried on as he could. He started drinking, but really drinking a lot, you know. And so, my grandfather didn't want to hear about him anymore. But then my father slowly started making it back. He restarted his music class, and he started caring for the three of us. He continued to drink a little, but he pulled himself together. You know what I mean, man?
Yeah, he seems to have been a pretty good man. Let's talk to Billy about the same subject.
This sordid letter from Isabella to her son Marco gives him a solid motive to kill Walter Jones.
But I don't understand. Why did Marco hide this from us? This is really monstrous. Plus, it concerns all three of us. Marco, Sonia, and me. And well, Walter Jones, my bastard of a grandfather, got what he deserved. He murdered my parents. Do you realize?
Yeah, in a way, I think you could say that Walter Jones killed his grandchildren's parents because of the things that he did, but was he really the one who sabotaged the father's airplane? Eduardo, or whatever his name was. Let's continue on the same subject.
In the absence of a will, this letter from Edward Jones to his wife Isabella makes Marco the principal heir of the Jones empire.
Marco betrayed me. He betrayed all of us, in fact. But the death of my jerk of a grandfather puts us on a level playing field. Sonia and I are in a good position to walk off with a part of the estate, don't you think? It's nuts. Money. Always money. It really does make the world go round. And it totally rotted our family.
Yeah, money can be a bad thing sometimes. Especially when it comes to greed. Because greedy people pretty much can do anything for money. Well, enough about that. Let's continue with the same subject.
Why did Walter Jones keep this compromising press cutting?
Seeing what we know of my grandfather, nothing is surprising anymore, is it? He could very well have given the order to have my father killed.
Yeah, well, who knows? Let's talk to him about printout of consultation for the library law from 9 to 11:59 p.m. and see how he reacts.
Simbi Laktar. Does this name mean anything to you? I'd like to know if you saw him these last few days.
Simbad Lak, what? No, Inspector. Really, it means nothing to me.
Okay.
Jack, I can't believe this. I've left like 15 messages. You're gonna think I'm crazy, but I'm waiting for you at the restaurant. You know how hard it is to get these reservations? Jack?
Don't leave. I'll go in my room to be able to talk to you alone.
Okay.
No, I assure you, I'll be back with you soon. I hope to arrest the murderer before nightfall, just to give you an idea. Then, as soon as I find a flight, indeed, as soon as I can. Basically, as soon as the helicopter brings us back, I'll join you.
Jack?
Of course, it'll take me some more time, despite everything, Carol. You can understand that. It's a criminal investigation, all the same. Calm down. It's not going to help if you cry like this. Listen, I didn't want to worry you, but all the same, it's not going too well here, and it could even sour a little, you understand? We have some small problems with air traffic, so it's not easy to reserve a plane to leave this godforsaken island. But no, I'm not making fun of you. Of course. I'll get out of here, my darling. You know jolly well I always find a way out. Yes, I love you.
Okay, so that was a bad a moment to receive a phone call because he was in the middle of a conversation. So now I have to find Billy again in order to talk to him about the rest of the stuff, as well as Carol, because in the middle of that conversation Jack Norm suddenly felt hungry, so he couldn't wait. He just had to eat a sandwich. Okay, so let's take a look on the characters database here and see where people are at. Marco is in the garden, so I think that there will be a very interesting conversation with him later on. Baina is in the heliport lounges. Lorenzo is still in his studio. Clara is in the heliport lounges. That is good because we need to continue talk to her. Christina is also in the heliport lounges, but we have nothing more to talk to her about. Not at the moment, at least. Then we got Coolio. He is still in the heliport lounges as well, and we have already talked to him, so there aren't anything else to talk to him about. Then we got Sonia Jones, which is also in the heliport lounges, and we have talked to her. Then we got Martin. He's in Lorenzo's studio. Why is he there? I wonder. That is gonna be interesting to find out why he is in Lorenzo's studio. And finally we got Billy. He's still in the heliport lounges, so that is where we need to head next, because I still have a few things to talk to them about. Let's take a look on the clues database first, though. Was Hubert Nolan's death really suicide? I am missing some evidence. I think it's a declaration that I'm missing, but I'm not totally sure. But I think it is a declaration that I'm missing, because I should guess that I have placed the correct clues in the correct boxes here. Let's take a look on the progression here. We still have one more unknown puzzle piece, and we got a total of 3 unsolved puzzle pieces. Was Hubert Nolan's death really a suicide? And what is Simbi Lokhtar still doing on the island? Or is he on the island at all? I think, yeah, that's what we need to find out. So yeah, we got 3 unsolved puzzle pieces, which I think we will be able to solve pretty soon. Yeah, I am currently in Jack Norm's suite, so I don't think that there is a reason to search through his suite. And I don't think there is much reason in searching through any of the other suites as well, because I think that what we need to do is talk to the suspects, but I'm not gonna do that now because it is getting pretty late and I'm getting pretty tired, and this episode is getting pretty long, so therefore I will end this episode here. So until next time, thank you so much for watching and have a good night.